Boneyard. BAC Sun here, coming at you in the midnight hour. As you can see, it's dark. It's still early for me, but you know who it's not early for? The man on the other side of this call. You know him, you love him, Ryosin.
What's up, guys? It is actually 12:30, and this is actually very late for me.
This man's bedtime is like 6 p.m.
Easy, it's like 10 o'clock, okay?
What's the difference? I'm at work during both of those times.
Me and BAC Sun have very opposite work schedules, which again is what makes recording sometimes very difficult.
Yeah, that's why it's always nice when we're together, because then we have the same sleep schedule.
Exactly. So, but I'm happy to be here. Nice and late. I don't actually work tomorrow, so it was definitely a good time to be able to record. So, just to kind of introduce this session. This is obviously one of our Gamers Discuss, and this week's topic or video's topic is going to be E3, because that's going on right now. When this is uploaded, it'll probably be over, but we're in the middle of it going on right now as of recording.
That is the truth. This man, he speaks nothing but the truth at this current time.
Yeah, so if anything changes based on what we've talked about, forgive us. We can't predict the future as much as we would like to.
Well, but one of us can't.
Fair enough.
No, neither of us can. Wish. Yes. I'd be a much richer man if I could predict the future.
Indeed, for sure. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started.
Okay, so first up, I gotta ask you, who has you the most excited? Now, I mean, it can be an individual conference, Sony, Microsoft, Ubisoft, or it can be a group, Activision. I mean, I guess Ubisoft showing up in a few others, Naughty Dog. Who's got you the most excited, Ryosin?
As of right now, I'd have to say the group that has me most excited, the group that has me most excited is probably EA, which kind of makes me want to wash my mouth out. But I feel like that they've done a lot this E3 that they haven't done in the past. Like, usually their E3s are just like, okay, like, here's the new stuff for FIFA, here's the new stuff for Madden, and Battlefield. Like, there you go. That's E3 for EA. But this time, I mean, it was kind of the same, but I feel like some of the things that they're bringing to FIFA look really good. I think that Battlefront 2 looks amazing, and I was not the biggest fan of Battlefront 1, but I feel like announcing the single player and just how the multiplayer looks different, how there's going to be space battles again, like, that game has got me excited, and the new additions to FIFA has me excited, and it's like, I feel like, and again, it's EA, so I'm not expecting this feeling to last for a long time.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is a time that they've actually, within this past year, they've actually listened to their users.
I think with Battlefront, right? I know EA's been very disappointed with, because they sold a lot of copies, right? Everybody bought Battlefront, but player base I know has dropped off a lot, and they weren't happy about that. And so I think that's, especially with Battlefront 2, they saw that, they were unhappy, and so they have done a few things like including the DLC. It's at the cost of microtransactions and loot boxes, but I think with the current climate, that's how all the games are, right? That's how. I mean, the only one that really comes to mind is Overwatch, but I know there's other games that have the loot box. Battlefield 1 was very similar, it had loot boxes, so I feel that. I see that.
See, and I definitely feel like EA's taking that step, not that they've ever been behind as far as modern stuff, but I just feel like they're really embracing, because, the the field of video games has been changing. I mean, like you said, microtransactions are getting more popular.
Yeah.
Instead of like season passes.
I would
and
much rather have
DLC.
microtransactions in a game than a season pass, for sure.
Exactly. And I feel like this is finally EA realizing that. And again, and like you already mentioned, I think Overwatch is a huge factor in that change. Like that was the first like major game on consoles, at least that I can think of, that really drove that home, and it obviously had huge success. And I feel EA recognized that, and I feel like this is just one of those times that EA's actually adapted, which I feel like they haven't really done in the past. They kind of do their own thing, which kind of just made me excited. Like, you know, is this a new look for EA?
Yeah. Seeing up until today, like yesterday and until later this evening, I would have agreed with you, but I think, I mean, and this is something that for the last 6 years, since I started paying attention to E3, I would never have said this before. And again, it almost makes me feel dirty saying it like you did, but I think Ubisoft has me the most excited. Like, because I was a big fan of the original Assassin's Creed game. You know, Assassin's Creed 2 is a little more repetitive, and then you know the further it got, the more repetitive the game got. But I mean, I loved Brotherhood and Revelations. Like the wacky storyline aside, like the gameplay in those was so much fun. Those were the first games I seriously contemplated 100%ing. I didn't, because I moved on before I did, but I got close with Revelations. I really did. But the new Assassin's Creed Origins looks great.
Oh yeah, it looks tremendous.
The Mario Rabbids crossover, like, that game looks fantastic. Looks fantastic. Then they've got their game, the Starlink, which looked pretty cool. I mean, I don't know that I'll actually buy the game, firstly because I got to get a Switch before I get a lot of these. But then, you know, it's just kind of cool how you could like pull a piece off of the ship and put it on, and it would, like, you have your little action figure and you do that, and then it'll affect like in game. I thought that was really cool. A cool way to kind of use the amiibo kind of, or Skylanders kind of thing. Then they've got the Skull and Bones, which is like just the pirate part from Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which looked really cool.
Yeah.
So I think for me, Ubisoft takes the cake. I feel a little sick saying that.
I definitely agree. I mean, Ubisoft would probably be my second. Probably. And I feel it's for a lot of the same reasons as EA. Like, Ubisoft has kind of had this trend of how they do their E3s, and they kind of broke the mold again. So, to show that they're in the modern thing of gaming, because the gaming community just keeps changing. And I feel like sometimes the companies aren't always changing with them, but I feel like those companies that have been behind are catching up. So that'll kind of segue us into our next question that I want to ask you. Now that we've looked at the whole company, what is the single project you're most excited for? This could be like the Xbox X. It could be any single product, game or console or anything like that.
Now, the Xbox X, I'm definitely getting one. I'm getting one, right? Because I just the fact that it can play 4K sounds amazing to me, and I'm sure at some point we'll get VR coming that way. Not immediately, but it was almost that. It was almost that. Microsoft almost took it, and then Sony's presentation came today, and they announced Monster Hunter World coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And oh my goodness, okay, I've seen a lot of Monster Hunter games, and I've wanted to get into it so bad, but I don't play my DS enough, right? And I feel more comfortable on a console having the big screen, because I've got pretty bad eyesight, so sometimes like the really fine details, especially with the graphics on the DS aren't great. They're like less than 480p. So the fact that we're getting, like a full HD version of Monster Hunter, I feel like this is the perfect way to jump into the series. And it's got me really excited because that game, the series as a whole just looks fantastic. Hunting down monsters, it's like Pokemon mixed with like Cabela's Big Game Hunter.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see a lot of potential in that game. I definitely feel you there. For me, it's hard. So when I saw the trailer, I want to give it to Battlefront 2 because, oh my gosh, that just looked amazing. Like I kind of already talked about, it seems like it brought so many good elements.
Yep.
That Battlefield 1 did not have.
Yep.
But there's just been a game I've been following for a while that I've been excited for. They finally announced the release date, showed another trailer for, and that's Cuphead.
I saw it coming. I saw it as soon as you said, as soon as you started talking about it a little bit more there, I got a smile on my face. You can go back and check the tape.
It just looks so phenomenal. I can't remember what the game is called, but it was on the original PlayStation, and it had kind of the same battle combat in it. And I would play that game with hours with my cousin, and we were just playing all the time. For the life of me, I can't remember what it's called. Maybe I should reach out to him and see if I could figure it out. But it was like the same type of thing. Obviously there's a lot of games like that, but that's just the one that comes to mind. But it's like the old school Disney,
just
art,
the art style.
I love Disney, guys. I don't know if we've talked about it extensively before, but I go to Disneyland at least once a year. I watch Disney movies all the time. I love Disney, and I feel like this is, even though it isn't a direct Disney game, it just kind of has that feel of the old Disney cartoons. And yeah, it just as soon as I saw, honestly, they could have just shown the trailer and I'd be like, okay, I've seen plenty of trailers. But when I saw the release date was for September, which I'm not trying to get too excited for because they had release dates before.
Yeah.
But that for me, that's where it is. As soon as I saw that, I was like, woof.
Yeah. Firstly, I feel like you're the type of person that if they knocked on your door and they said, hey, we need to murder one individual or Disney is going to no longer be a thing, you would volunteer as tribute.
Probably.
And then secondly, I think this is the first time Cuphead's had an actual solid release date. I think before
Fair
it's
enough.
always just been coming December 20, or
right. Yes.
winter December
you're
16, so
yes.
But that's
right. And for me, I wanted to kind of give the spot to Xbox as well, but for me, not that it's a bad product, but for me, owning a PlayStation 4 Pro already, I kind of already have that 4K gaming console.
Yeah,
I have the Xbox One S already, so it's not like I'm going from an Xbox One to an Xbox One X.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm doing. I've just got the Xbox One X, or the Xbox One, so jumping up to the X. And I've kind of been waiting because I thought about getting an S, but I decided to wait. And the cool thing about the Xbox One X is just how it's packing so much power into there, and the case is physically smaller than any other Xbox has been. So I think that's pretty cool, and that's kind of why part of the reason I was leaning that way. I'm a big fan of hardware. Like, software is cool, but to me, hardware is just fascinating. Like, that you can make something that can do that. Like, Intel just announced their i9 during, I don't know if it was at E3, but I know they just announced it like yesterday or today, and oh my gosh, like, this thing, I don't know if you've heard about the i9. It has 18 cores. 18. That's like, I've got an i7. It's a quad core. That's like strapping 4.5 of my cores together, like duct taping them. Like, oh, that's fascinating to me. I mean, it's crazy expensive. It's like $1,200, but I think some honorable mentions for me, though, definitely go to Battlefield 2. Or Battlefront 2. Well, Battlefield 2. That's next year's E3. Sorry to spoil it, guys.
Calling it down.
But EA also has a game coming from the same guys that made Brother: A Tale of Two Sons.
Yes, that looks really
called
good.
A Way Out, and oh, that game looks like it'll be fun. I mentioned some of the stuff Ubisoft has on deck, like the Skull and Bones, and then Microsoft has a Sea of Thieves. That one looks pretty fun as well. So, and then PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I've seen a lot of people play that on PC. I was going to buy it on Steam, but hearing that it's coming out for the Xbox with the Xbox One X, I might just hold it off because I am much better, because I have trained for 11 years now, first-person shooters on a controller. I don't know if the PC has controller support or not, so I'll just stick to what I'm good at.
Yeah, for sure.
But okay, so that's what's got you the most excited. But obviously, there's another side of this coin. What's been the biggest letdown for you so far?
That's a tough question. And this might be unpopular with some people, so hear me out. But despite you talking about you being excited for that Sony game, I would maybe say that the Sony presentation was probably one of the most disappointing parts for me. And again, hear me out. Biggest reason for me is most of the stuff they announced is going to come out after E3 next year.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things. Like, they brought a lot of cool things to the table and a lot of cool announcements. Just so much of it could have been held off till next year. Like, one of my favorite E3 moments ever, like, not this year, just all E3s I've watched. And you'll probably remember this because we had a lengthy discussion after the announcement.
It's last year with Fallout 4?
Fallout 4 was like, they announced the game and it was like 4 months away.
Yeah.
Like, that was insane. Like, that was mind blowing. Like, oh my gosh, they're announcing this game and it's out in 4 months. Like, this big major game.
Yep.
Like, that's, in my eyes, that's just like a genius marketing move. Like, you don't have as much time to build hype.
Yeah.
Like, and like for me, and I just, like, for me, that's why Sony's was disappointing, is because, like, man, you could have done all of this next year. Instead, anything that I'm getting excited for is going to be a year away, where, like, I'm going to get distracted by stuff. Like, again, with the Fallout 4, that's great. Like, it's 4 months away. You're not going to have a ton of time to get distracted by all these other games coming out. You're going to remember it being announced. They did stuff like releasing Fallout Shelter in the middle of it. Like, they kept doing things to – well, no, they did it right after E3 they announced it. But they did things to keep you involved with Fallout.
Yeah.
And, like, I just feel like Sony just – that's kind of where they dropped the ball. Like, look at all this cool stuff we have for next year, and this year, we don't got a whole lot going on.
Well, and the other thing too is like they announced a couple of things this year that were new, right? But firstly, they didn't have any, like, Microsoft. It wasn't long. It was like 1 minute and 50 seconds, but they had a whole clip of all these different, like, small indie developer games, which I feel like they're not they're not big budget, right? So they aren't gonna blow me away, and I'm not gonna spend 200 hours on an indie game usually, right? But they're innovative, and they usually bring something to the table that eventually, something comes out of it. Or sometimes you get a game like Horizon Zero Dawn, which technically, I mean, it was backed by Sony, but it was by a small developer who had never done anything like Horizon before, right? So there was that, and then, like Sony, because I'm with you. Sony, I think, is the most disappointing part. Their conference, because a lot of the other things that they announced, like you said, either they're coming out way in the future, like I think, early 2018 to mid 2018 to late 2018, right?
Exactly.
Everything else was either like, all right, we got an expansion for Horizon Zero Dawn, but we're not really going to show much gameplay footage for it. Or it's like, hey, here's this thing that we announced last year. Here's another look at it. So it wasn't, there was a few things like the Monster Hunter World. Like, that blew me away, right? But for the most part, it was just like, that's cool, I guess.
Agreed. Yeah, so obviously there's not going to be a lot for us to talk about on this topic since we agree on the same thing.
Agree.
But yeah, honestly,
all right, guys, that's a wrap. This has been a series.
Yeah, but so I mean, so obviously both of us a lot of the same points, and honestly for me the biggest one was just like a lot of cool ideas just too far away. Yeah. I'm going to forget most of those. So, let's just kind of keep it rolling.
If you give the hype train enough time to get to full speed and start slowing down, which I feel like Sony is the master of. I think that was EA's problem last year.
Yes.
And the year before that. And that's always been like Ubisoft's problem is they give you enough time to get the hype train up to full speed. It starts to slow down. The game comes out, and then it's it's okay, but there was too long to build up hype for the game, and I feel like the best example of this is, I mean, No Man's Sky is really the best example. But the next best example is a very similar game, Destiny, because they announced Destiny at E3 2014, then they announced it again at E3 2015. When the game came out in late 2015, and I had over a year to get excited for this game, and while I played it a lot, because for me it was just cathartic. I was trying to get that Yallerhorn, but there was just so much time that the hype train built up speed, then it slowed down, and everybody was over the game before it even came out.
Exactly. So switching gears a little bit, but kind of on the same topic. It's not. So this is a question I just came up with. So it wasn't in our. So we make notes, guys, on kind of things we want to talk about. But I thought this might be. Yeah, I thought this might be an interesting topic. What's something that people seem really excited about, but you don't think is going to be that big of a deal?
Oh, now that's a very interesting question.
If you would like, I mean, I obviously had my thing come up to my mind, which is why I thought of the question.
Yeah.
So for me, my answer is Skyrim Nintendo Switch. Because reasons, it's the third time the game's getting released. It was released old console, it released next-gen console, and now it's coming to the Switch. The biggest thing for the Switch is the amiibo. You get the Link stuff. That's cool for 10 seconds.
Yeah, but I mean, you can get that kind of stuff with mods as well.
Right. That's my exact argument. People got super pumped for it. It's going to be on the Switch, and again, that's cool. It's going to be mobile. There's things that would be cool about it, but again, it's the third release. It's the third console release.
I feel like. I feel like Bethesda's kind of beating a dead horse with Skyrim at this point. Because they're also releasing Skyrim VR for the PlayStation VR.
Right.
Which, I mean, again, it's kind of cool, but it's just do we really care?
The only argument I would give for the Skyrim VR is like it's going to feel completely different playing a game in VR than like playing on the Switch again. Like in the end, it's still controller in your hand.
Yeah.
Staring at a screen. Like, yeah, it'll be a little bit different. You'll have the perks of the Switch, but in the end, there's not really anything that innovative with that. At least with Skyrim VR, you're going to play it in VR. Like you're going to feel more immersed in the game. So, I mean, we could put this whole blanket over Skyrim. Like just everything everyone's. I kind of agree with you that it's not going to be super popular, but like I just feel like the Switch port is going to be at least less exciting. It might be more popular. I don't know, but I feel like it will be less exciting. Like I would rather play it on VR for that different, at least outlook in the game.
Yeah. See, and here's my thing, right? Like, there's a lot of games that have been announced and stuff, and I mean, I feel like for the most part, the games are properly hyped. I don't feel like there's any game that's been overhyped.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Scorpio, the Xbox One X, I'm still going to call it Scorpio. I'm going to call it Scorpio till the day that I die.
Yeah, that's
it's
a much better name.
It's like the Nintendo Revolution. Like, I had the hardest time switching to the Wii. I mean, now, 10 years later, obviously Nintendo Wii. But when they first announced that, I was very upset, right? But I think the Scorpio, right? The Xbox One X, because again, like I said, I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna upgrade. I'm excited for it, but I feel like at the end of the day, right? Firstly, if you don't have a 4K TV, what's the point, right? Right. So minimum, I'm gonna be spending like $1,600 because I'm gonna buy that, and then I'm gonna have to go buy a 4K TV.
Right.
So there's that. My other problem with it is it's still an Xbox One, right? It's more powerful. You're gonna get more out of your games, but it's still an Xbox One. So if you're going out with the intention of buying this, thinking it's gonna be like a revolutionize, right? It's gonna be as big a jump as it was from the 360 to the Xbox One or the Xbox original to the 360. Or if you're going out, thinking like you're going to get this huge difference playing games in 4K with UHD, HDR, like, yeah, it's going to make a difference. It's going to make a lot of those games run smoother. It's going to be a prettier picture overall. But I don't feel that I don't feel that it's really all that revolutionary, right? It's not like the Switch. It's not groundbreaking. So comparatively, I think the Switch takes the cake as far as
for sure.
This current console generation, this upgraded console generation. You want to look at the Switch, you want to look at the X, you want to look at the PS4 Pro. I think the Switch actually blows the other two out of the water. Sure, it's a heck of a lot less powerful, but it's more revolutionary. You can pick it up, you can take it with you, you can have fun with it that way. I think it's got a better lineup of games coming exclusive to it, or that are improved by it, than you are with the Pro or the Xbox X.
Which I would give
the Xbox One XX.
I wanted to say two things, and I'm forgetting the one, but I mean the first one I kind of already mentioned. I think one of the things that hurts the Xbox One X is that PlayStation beat you to the punch. Like, you're not the first 4K console. Like,
yeah, I mean,
the Pro was there first. Like, I know that there's people, diehard Xbox, they refuse to get PlayStations, so they're waiting for the Scorpio. But again, like, you always have that advantage. Like, you always just have that, like,
being the first one on the market.
Right, like the Pro, that was the first 4K console.
Yeah.
As soon as it came out, somebody's like, I want a 4K console. They went and bought the Pro. Like, like that's like they had to do that. Like, yeah, you could wait for the Scorpio to come out this holiday, but like the Pro's been out for months now.
Yeah,
like it's
but the
it's
other
got that advantage.
The other nice thing, like comparing the two, right? You're paying $400 for the Pro, which, like I said, it's got the PlayStation VR right now, which is great if you want to spend that extra $400 to go out and get. Eventually, like I said, I'm sure the the Scorpio's going to have VR with it as well.
They'll have to,
right,
to keep it a competitive console.
Exactly, but I mean, they're focusing on VR, getting it all squared away with Windows first and the PC, because the PC, you know, it's easier to get it in there because of the player base, right? You're gonna have it, even if, you know, it's like 25% of everybody that owns a PC that can handle 4K or an Xbox One X that can handle 4K, you're gonna have more PC players. Just in that category.
It's debatable.
But like, it's $100 more than the PlayStation 4 Pro, but you're getting an extra 50%, at least graphical output power.
Right. And like, I definitely don't argue. It's like, again, like I feel like you just always have the advantage of being first.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I feel like if they had this and it came out either at the same time or before the Pro, it would have larger success.
Yeah, I think still though they're at a loss just with the price difference, right?
Right. Yeah, that $100 difference.
That $100 difference. They had a price difference at the beginning of the console generation as well. The Xbox One was more costly than the PlayStation 4.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
like you'll get the people like me, honestly, like when I play on my Pro, my games look absolutely magnificent. Like, and honestly, like I just don't know if it's worth, like it's kind of what I talk to people about internet speeds. You know, like, yeah, you can jump from like 250 megabytes up to a gigabyte, but you're probably not going to feel that depending on what you do.
Yeah.
You know, like for what I do, I don't feel like that extra
2 teraflops.
Yeah, like I just don't think that I would notice that compared to what my PlayStation does. Because like you said, like not only do you have to have a 4K TV, but to get the maximized graphics from what that console is going to be able to do, you can't just have any standard 4K TV. You're going to have a nice 4K TV.
Yeah, you definitely got to get one of the better ones with lower input lag, better color depth, you know, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So it's not like it's even like just like, you know, like that's my Pro is perfect with how powerful my TV is. Like it's a perfect fit. So, but yeah. So
well, and like where you already have the Pro, you know,
right?
It would take like an exclusive on Xbox that you're really looking forward to make you start questioning it, you know. But like me, I don't have a Pro, I don't have an Xbox S, I just have my original Xbox One.
Right.
So it's a bigger deal for somebody like me who's been waiting for the Xbox, because I mean, PlayStation 4 Pro came out. It was like I didn't have the cash. Plus, I was already thinking about upgrading to an Xbox Slim. I knew it was coming, and they announced a Scorpio. So I was like, okay, I can wait one more year. I'll get the X, and then we'll go from there. But
which I did remember my other point with the Xbox One S, which is actually a positive point. I think they were really smart about saying, okay, this Pro is gonna, or this X is gonna come out with 4K. We're going to let you take some of the games you already have, give them updates so that they'll do 4K. I thought that was really smart. Like me, I have Final Fantasy 15. If I bought the X and I wanted to play that in 4K, I could. Like, I'm not paying any extra money. Like I thought that was genius, and I also thought it was really smart that they brought original Xbox games backwards compatible. But that's enough on that point. Let's kind of move on. We got a couple more to go through.
So, what do you think the biggest tease has been of this E3 season? This pre E3, because E3 doesn't officially start until tomorrow, but the only person left to, or the only, you know, conference left is Nintendo's. But what do you think has been the biggest tease thus far?
Hands down, no questions asked, Kingdom Hearts 3. Had a new trailer for it, made it look awesome, found out that you have 2 new forms, no release date still.
Yep.
Like, just hands down, without a doubt for me, just like cool. Like, I've been seeing gameplay and trailers and hints and game releases and all this other stuff for years. You gave me another trailer with no release date. Like, I get that you're trying to show us that it's getting closer and closer. I mean, I do praise them for making sure a game is ready for release. As so many games are trying to get better at it now, but we had those couple of years where it was just get a game out on time. They didn't care.
I don't know what you're talking about. This last year we've had No Man's Sky and Mass Effect Andromeda. Like, we still have a problem in the industry. Although I think after the big flops of those, I think companies are a little more like, I think every year companies come out, they promise the world, they deliver a lump of coal, and everybody gets a little more like, okay, well maybe we should make sure this is finished first. Maybe we should make sure it's polished, right?
Well,
but then a lot of times they're like, okay, well, in order to make sure it's polished, we got to cut back on content so we can still get it out on time. And then you have a situation like Battlefront.
And like, I mean, I agree. There's still an issue. It's definitely not as bad as it was. Like, think back to like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Battlefield. Yeah. Just throw Battlefield around there a lot.
Batman Arkham Knight on the PC.
Batman Arkham Knight. You had games like what was it? It was one of the sports games. It was either 2K or no, it wasn't FIFA. It must have been 2K. But like, their servers weren't ready. You had
Grand Theft Auto Online.
Yeah, like, it used to be like terrible. It's gotten better because you see those flops after they happen, and I agree. Like, the more they flop, like Andromeda and stuff, they'll definitely gear more towards the side. But but back to the question, that's definitely the biggest tease. Is just because, again, it's what we've been getting for like 10 years. Is just little glimpses of this game, and they just did it again this year. So.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that came at Sony's press conference.
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
See, and that leads me to my thought, is that the biggest tease is Sony. Like they've kind of been the biggest letdown, but they're also the biggest tease because, like, to beat a dead horse, to Skyrim this, right? They announced a lot of things that they've already announced, and the things that were new, for the most part, it wasn't like, oh, here's in-game footage. Oh, here's somebody playing the game. It was like, we gotta be all about stagecraft, and we gotta make it look good. So here's a CGI trailer of this. Here's a CGI trailer of that. Here's this thing. Here's that thing. Here's this thing you already knew about. Here's Kingdom Hearts 3. Here's God of War again. Like, it's just, it's like, Sony, you're a fantastic company, right? Like, say what you will about Sony, and
but,
Sony ponies, right, or whatever, but they still just kind of, you're not giving me much to work with here, Sony. Like,
you brought up an excellent point about Sony, though, that I noticed a lot. Most of the games they announced were CGI trailers, where most of the other games from everybody else was in-game footage. Like, pretty much everyone I could think of, like the FIFA, that was in-game footage, Battlefront, in-game footage, Kingdom Hearts, in-game footage, like, the list goes on and on. And so, okay, Kingdom Hearts, I guess, is the exception to Sony. I know that's in Sony, but
yeah.
Like, there's just many.
There's exceptions to every rule.
Assassin's Creed, I'm pretty sure that said in-game footage. Like, there's so many in-game footage clips, and then like most of Sony's was just like, here it is, like, oh, so you had throw out a CGI trailer. We have no idea what the game actually looks like, which leads it to being the most disappointing. And for you, biggest tease, I definitely get that. I agree.
And I mean, to jump back a couple points too, I think that's something I didn't mention about Ubisoft. Was Ubisoft did that really well too. They showed a lot of in-game footage, and then for things like Assassin's Creed, right? We've already seen it in previous conferences that when it came their turn, they're like, hey, yeah, Assassin's Creed, we have it, you've seen it, that's great, and then they just moved on. It wasn't like, here's 20 more minutes of gameplay footage, right? So that's I think again, Ubisoft did that really well, but Sony, man, just I want to love them, but they make it
Me
hard.
too.
They make it hard.
See, I used to be very Xbox, and then I bought my Pro, and I've actually really enjoyed playing PlayStation again. And so I was hoping for a lot during their press conference, and in my opinion, I just got nothing.
Yeah.
And I was so. I mean, I know that's talking more about the biggest disappointment instead of biggest tease, but you know, so I definitely agree that that's
well, it's like the last two generations, I've just had Xbox, right? But I mean, PlayStation original, PlayStation 2, two of the best consoles I think of all time. I mean, you got like the GameCube that was, I feel, underrated. The Wii, everybody had one. The Xbox 360 was fantastic, but like if we could go back to the point, you know, if I could perpetually stay in the PlayStation 2 era, I would be fine with that.
agreed.
Right. I love a lot of the games that we have now. You know, the Skyrim, as bad as it's been beaten, that was a really fun game. I got a good 80 hours of it the first month I had it. You know, Fallout, I've always loved. Nintendo always has great stuff going on, but the PlayStation 2 was fantastic. And so I haven't had a reason to go for PlayStation over Microsoft. Like,
Yeah.
ever, you know?
Yeah, I get you,
Last two generations,
but to get back on track, let's just actually just move to our next bullet point because we've kind of moved past the tease.
right.
What are you hoping to hear from Nintendo tomorrow? About anything. Overall, at least one product, just anything.
All right, so firstly, I'd like to see a little more about the Raving Rabbids Mario Kingdom crossover, right? I think it's called like Raving Rabbids Battle for Mushroom Kingdom or something like that. I'd like to see a little more of that. That game looks fantastic. It looks hilarious. I'm a fan of the Rabbids. I think they're hilarious little creatures. I love the game Raving Rabbids. That was on the Wii. It's just they're fun. But I'd also like to see some more like. I want to see more stuff coming to that Switch. I want something to draw me in. I want more reason to purchase it because I want to play Breath of the Wild, but I can't justify buying a console just for that. And Mario Kart's fun, but it's still not enough to drag me into it, right? It's the same thing that I had with the Wii U. I'm waiting for something to just say, here we are, like a console version of the Pokemon games, right? Like something going back to like Pokemon GX Gale of Darkness, right? That game was so much fun. That or like a Fire Emblem game on the Switch to actually see footage of that because I've heard it's coming. I've heard rumor that it's coming. So to see something like that, just something to say, hey, Braden, it's finally time to go spend the $600 that you're gonna need to spend on the Switch and accessories. Here it is. Here is that game that is worth the $600. It is on a platter. It is coming this December. Because work's going to kick up here soon. I'm going to be working 6 days a week. And as much as I hate that, it gives me so much money for games and consoles.
For sure. I'd basically say the same thing about Nintendo. You know, more stuff for the Switch for the same reasons. Like, I really want to play Breath of the Wild, but do I want to pay $350 to $400 to play it?
Yeah, because
no.
I mean, you have to buy the Switch, you have to buy an SD card.
Exactly. Like
if you want extra Joy-Cons.
It's such a huge investment, and I do want to see the two examples you already gave, like another Fire Emblem and another Pokemon game on the Switch. And I don't care how they are, like whether it's Pokemon, because Gale of Darkness and XD were both not like traditional Pokemon games,
right,
and that is fine. If they did something off the usual, I'd be totally fine with that.
I mean,
Like,
it's kind of with Sun and Moon, they've kind of opened it up, right? They're like they had those games in the past which broke tradition, but then Sun and Moon broke tradition even further. So I feel like Pokemon Stars, you know, has
See,
it has room.
Exactly, and so I feel, and I just want Pokemon to bring some excitement. Like they did Breath of the Wild, people got super excited, and like the Switch was exciting when it first came out. But I feel like they just haven't done anything to continue that excitement.
Yeah, nothing to draw in.
Like you had those two big things when they were announced and they were released, and they've done really well.
Right.
But there's not been sustainable excitement. And I just hope they just bring that element, and just an element of, look, we're still with the big boys. Like we could
hear me out. Mario Party Switch.
That would be amazing.
Because Mario Party's the best. Like it's the friendship killer, right? Like it's the only game on the planet that gives Monopoly a run for its money.
You're right.
So if they came out and they're like, hey, you know what? Guess what? We got Nintendo, because they've got the 1-2 switch, right? And that game's cool, whatever. But some of the concepts that they developed in that, like the quick draw and the counting the marbles in the tube, right? It was like, guess how many? You're playing like Mario Party, and it's like, all right, now you got to tell me how many ice cubes are in Bowser's mug, and you're like, I think it's like 4, and whoever's closer, wins. Like they have so much opportunity there.
Agreed.
I think that'd be really. I think the Switch is a good console for a Mario Party game.
You know what I'd be content with as far as a Pokemon game on the Switch? Pokemon Stadium 3. Doesn't even have to be a full game. Just a Pokemon Stadium 3.
Yeah.
Let me play some mini games. Let me do those random battles you can do. Just something basic. Don't even have to charge that as a full price game. You could do a $40 game.
Well, even if it's I mean, I guess if they're all going to be in there, you might as well have the rental system. But I was like, don't have the rental system. Have me put my Sun and Moon cartridge, or my Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, which is I'm not going to go into that. Right. But you put that cartridge in, and it reads off of that too. But yeah, I think, or you connect your DS wirelessly to it or whatever. But I think it has some. The Pokemon Stadium game would be pretty cool too. It's like you said. I don't really need a full scale main series Pokemon game on the Switch. I just want to see Fire Emblem. I want to see Pokemon. I want to see Mario Party. Those 3 things, along with Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart Deluxe. I think I'd probably pick up Pokemon DX, Pokken Tournament DX as well. With those 6 games, I would be happy with the console for now. Obviously, they gotta keep upgrading and stuff, and I'd love to try Splatoon. Splatoon 2 looks really fun. I've never played the first one because I never bought a Wii U.
So I'm just to end this Nintendo discussion, I'm just gonna throw out a prediction that I would like to see, but I also kind of expect to see, and that's going to be Super Smash Brothers on some level.
Yeah. Yeah, even if it's just a quick mention, hey, guess what? We got Super Smash Brothers coming at you soon. I don't even need, because that's another one. That's like a Nintendo console franchise, right? They even had it on the 3DS. Yep. So even if it's whatever it was, what was it? Super Smash 5 or
yeah, I don't even remember.
Smash 5. I think it was Smash 5. But if they have that Smash 5 Deluxe, they're on a couple new characters. You got my money, Nintendo. I will spend $600 if all of those things come true. I'll just
You got it.
not buy a 4K TV. I'll just play my Xbox One X on my 1080p so that I can afford the
Switch.
Switch.
Nice. Okay, well, let's go ahead and wrap that discussion up. So, hoping to hear good things from Nintendo tomorrow. But yeah, so let's just end this with a very basic question. But overall, I mean, obviously we can't speak for Nintendo tomorrow, but up to this point, how do you think E3 has been as a whole?
I am on the fence. I'm leaning towards it's been a good E3, right? EA's learned from their mistakes a little bit. I mean, it's not the greatest mind-blowing presentations or anything, but they've learned from their mistakes. I think Microsoft has learned a little more from its mistakes, showcased a lot of games this year. Ubisoft, oh my gosh, best conference so far. Still makes me sick to say that.